Yo, what's going on, y'all? You're back. I want to thank you if you're tuning in. I'm your host, Paco, and you're listening to Occupy the Media. Okay, so I want to, real quickly, I want to get into this real quick, and then we'll call your friend here. Is that Laura, right?
Right.
Okay, so they cut out the lights to cut back on. You're basically you're leaving the room or the floor, and then I guess from right there while you're walking out of the aisle, someone just hits you in the back.
Yeah, she just doubled up and just punched me right in my spine. And, one of the reasons why it was so scary for me and so risky, I've got severe spinal arthritis, and I've got fusing in my T-spine, which is the mid-spine area between your shoulder blades, and that's actually where she struck me. And, this lady could have fractured my spine. She could have caused me a very serious injury. It was very emotional. I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it. First of all, I'd never seen this lady in my life. Have no idea, why I was targeted. Had never had any exchanges with her at all. I was just simply walking out, and I didn't even have a chance to defend myself or to try to block her blow or anything. It was just from behind. The most cowardly way to even try to approach a person. Not that it would be acceptable anyway, but who just comes up behind somebody and attacks them? I don't understand. It was just shocking. And of course, what do you do? I had, at least I had enough composure about myself to, pull my video camera out and start recording her and get her name on her badge. She was trying to conceal her identity. And she was trying to get out of the hall because I was calling for a sergeant, and she was trying to evade the sergeant of arms, and but luckily we were able to. I kept it up and kept calling for a sergeant and following her out, and we were able to finally intercept her in the parking lot, and did end up calling the Norman Police Department and the sheriff's office on scene.
Okay, so what happened? Did you press charges on her?
Ultimately, I've got a great friend who I'm actually working on his campaign. He's a former sheriff's deputy. My good friend, Daryl Sorrells. He was there. We've got another retired Norman police officer that's a fellow Ron Paul supporter. So I consulted with them and, was able to kind of get settled down and make sure, I was okay. Because, your adrenaline's pumping when you get punched like that. And I talked to them, and, I'm kind of in a unique situation that, I've been going to school for 3 years, working on my master's degree, and I'm going through an application process at the Oklahoma Health Science Center to join the Physician's Associate program. And due to the possibility that this woman could falsely accuse me and potentially have an assault and battery on my record, even though it would be completely false, I chose, for one, partly because I believe in turning the other cheek, and it showed more about my character, and also to protect myself from false allegations, even though there was an eyewitness to the attack who happens to be an off-duty police officer, witnessed her punching me. I chose just to take the high road, spare myself, the chaos of having to go through, a trial with her or whatever I would have to do. And I just chose to, it showed who she was as a person, and I just chose to move on with my life and continue. I've got things to focus on with the Paul campaign and some other campaigns that I'm working on. So I chose just to walk away after consulting with people that I highly respect, that are law enforcement officers, and I deferred to their wisdom and made the decision with them and with my husband to just let it go. And she was embarrassed. People knew who she were. They saw who she was. She's all over the internet.
Okay, so you were the one that was actually, you were the one that they actually showed on the news, right? When they had your phone, I think it was your cell phone.
Yeah, that was me. With the phone, and so that was the woman who did strike me. And I don't know who she is. I know who she is. I know her name, but I'd never had any contact with her. But it turns out, upon further investigation, this same woman had actually already had the sergeant at arms called over to her and for screaming and getting out of people's face and cussing people out. So this wasn't the isolated incident with this particular delegate that was there. And I just want to say, the Republican Party, there were letters that were sent out by this group of women. They named themselves, they're an anonymous group called the Go To Women, the Get Out the Truth Oklahoma Women. And they sent out nasty letters just completely slandering the Ron Paul people, accusing us of all kinds of things. And they signed their letter off, in a very cowardly fashion, that, while all of the things that we've said in this letter are true, we're fearful to show our face and identify ourselves because we're fearful for our personal safety. And I just honestly I think those letters were sent out completely to drum up animosity towards our movement and to fuel tension. And, in light of those letters that went out, I hold the Republican Party accountable for not having adequate security in that room. They knew it was going to be high tension. They knew there was going to be a lot of motion in the room. And honestly, I'm ashamed that they did not have more adequate security in that place. There were 1,400 something delegates, if we want to go with their numbers. I only saw 3 sergeant-in-arms in that whole place. There's no way that was enough coverage. They knew it was going to be contentious, and I think they should be ashamed of themselves for not protecting the delegation more appropriately.
Well, I think you guys, considering everything that happened and what you guys had to go through, not just yourselves but others that were there, you guys represented Ron Paul really well. You represented the state of Oklahoma really well, and I can honestly say I don't know if I could have done what you did, and I know there's a lot of people that probably say the same thing. So hats off to you. That's really tough to be able to, turn the other cheek and walk away and be the bigger person in that situation and know what's more important. Because had you have done something else, the media or the people there could have tried to spin it into something worse. And the next thing you know, your face is plastered everywhere.
Right. And exactly right. And that's a warning I want to send out to, my fellow Ron Paul family that do have these conventions come up. I have no doubt in my mind that, I'll give a little bit of slack that maybe this was just, emotions that got out of control. But I almost would wager to say that those letters, and because if you look at all of the assaults that happened, they were all by elderly Romney people. There were 2 women that I know of that I personally witnessed their aggression, and an elderly gentleman, and I have no doubt in my mind that there is a high probability that those people were plants trying to incite a violent reaction so that they could spin it in the media to further defame the Ron Paul camp. So I just want to have a plea go out to all of my friends that are going to be coming to their state conventions. Be on your best behavior, be on guard, have your video cameras out, watch for this kind of stuff, and don't take the bait. Don't even give them an ounce of ammunition to use against you. Be on guard, control yourself, and walk away. Don't let them get away with it because they're just trying to smear the Paul campaign. They're trying to incite you to violence and rise above it and beat them at their game. Compose yourself and be a professional.
Well, Lori, like I said, you did a very good job of that. I just want to let everybody know that's listening. Go over to Lori Steen's Facebook, Lori Steen, Steen. And you guys need to let her know that she definitely did a good job representing us. Because like I said, I don't think there's a whole lot of people that would have reacted the same way. I hope that we can. And I even hope that I would do something like that. It's just very, very tough. Now, I wanted to ask you, this lady that you're talking about, she was sitting right behind you the whole time? Like, did you ever see her prior to this?
No, these were 2 separate incidents. The woman that was aggressive with Laura and I, totally separate woman. The lady that struck me was not even in my county. She was not sitting in my area. I don't know where she came from. I never laid eyes on her until I turned to see who had punched me. That's my first interaction with her.
Hold on.
I have no idea who she was.
All right, hey, cut you off. We're in a commercial. We'll come back.
Of smooth-talking politicians, insider deals, games of he said, she said, rhetoric, and division. One man has stood apart, stood strong and true, voting against every tax increase, every unbalanced budget, every time, standing up to the Washington machine, guided by principle. Ron Paul, the one with a plan to cut $1 trillion year 1, eliminate the waste, balance the budget. Ron Paul, the one we can trust, the one who will restore America now.
Approve this message.
If you have enjoyed the programming on Ron Paul Radio Network, please go to ronpaulradio.com/support. That's ronpaulradio.com/support and make your small donation. All revenues received by the network go toward paying expenses, rating our service.
Hey, Laura, just stay on the line, okay?
Liberty Movement.
Okay.
as always,
Hey, Lori,
I'm here with you.
Okay, Lori.